Hi, it's me, Cindy, the sailor's wife. Again, I'm back for the fifth episode of The Sailor's Wife. And I'm about the conservative women of Palm Coast and the things that they do and accomplish. They're so busy and smart, and I'm just so excited to know so many of them. And I have with me today Susie Schaefer of Eris Medical Solutions. She is a member of our conservative women's group and attended our second meeting. Although she works a lot, we do get to see her once in a while. She's a founder and president of Eris Medical Solutions. Susie evolved through the skills and expertise she learned throughout her career journey. While working with an airline, she learned that customer service is top priority. While working in accounting, she learned the value and importance of proper documentation. When she decided to specialize in healthcare industry, she repeatedly witnessed frustration and stress of doctors and staff surrounding the HIPAA compliance requirements and regulations. As a result, the 7 steps to HIPAA compliance were developed and eventually led to her online HIPAA Keeper system. She has helped clients all over the United States and has spoken to numerous public foundations on HIPAA and data security. It's important stuff, people. I know you think it doesn't matter or it doesn't affect you, but it really does. And with that, I'd like to introduce my friend Susie. She was like the second week she showed up at our group, and her and I just connected. And I'm so happy to have her in the group. She's so much fun, and
Well, it's a pleasure to be in the group. I mean, I've never met such amazing, talented, just beautiful people from the inside out.
I know.
I mean, when you talk about the talent that's in our group,
oh yeah,
I used to think I was talented when I would sew and stuff like this, and then I look at what you do
Ugh,
and what Donna does.
I know.
I mean,
That's Fauna did this, so I have to give her a little plug here. That's my
nice.
Broadzilla. She puts it on my
Yes,
shirts.
I love it.
But
Oh, then you know what? I'll have her do my embroidery for my logos and
yeah,
my shirts now.
she should.
But she's just everybody in this group is wonderful and
And
amazing.
helpful and
Helpful.
kind, and the things that I went through with Curtis and the death, and I still can't get over how much they did for me through that. So that's a whole nother show. But Mike gets that. He understands, I think, about the drug abuse, but we'll like I said, do another show on that. But
Yeah.
I'm just so glad to have you in our group. And like you said, there's so many people and we've made such great lifelong friends. I really believe.
And you are the reason for this group.
Uh,
You're the one who created it. You're the one who brought all of us. None of us would know each other without you.
well, it was only my desperation to make some new friends that I did that
Oh,
because
and thanks to you, because when I moved to Palm Coast, I mean, Patty and I moved here. We didn't know anybody.
yeah.
You know, we're like, I want to go find some friends. You
Yeah,
know?
and you happened upon my group,
Mhm.
which was
It's funny. I don't mean to interrupt, but you have to tell you what's funny about me finding your group was originally you were on Meetup,
right.
and I'm from the west coast of Florida, where I did a lot of networking for my business and trying to grow my business. So I went on Meetup looking for networking groups, and I found this. I'm like, well, hell, this is a lot more fun than
Yeah.
networking. You know?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I started this group out of, I moved here. I had one friend, and that's Kathleen. She's my sister from another mister, but we get in too much trouble together. But
Well,
anyway,
me and Patty do.
I was like, I need to make some new friends, some more friends to add. And I threw this together. And at first, I didn't get much of a response until I made that post on Palm Coast Facebook group. And boom, I got 10 requests, and it's grown from there.
We have a lot of new people. It's been
So,
wonderful.
anyway, about that, let's get to the topic of HIPAA compliance because it seems to be really important. It's not just for doctors anymore, if that's the way I
Well,
understand it.
Well, I mean, HIPAA compliance is still um, medical related because in order to be a covered entity, you have to be a pharmacy, a medical professional, or something
Right.
like that. But it extends to business associates as well, because so if you're an IT company, a medical billing company, all of these people have to adhere to HIPAA compliance. It's not just the doctors.
I think some of those rules are just ridiculous. Every time I go to the doctor, they shove another thing at me. I'm like, seriously, I've signed $1 million of these hot tip.
Well, the thing is you don't have to sign it every time, so they're probably doing
Right.
it over. But see, a lot of doctors' offices think, well, as long as you sign this, I'm good. You know, this is what I need to be HIPAA compliant, and that could not be further from the
Oh,
truth.
really?
But when I talk about it's more than just HIPAA compliance for medical doctors, is because today I want to talk about more like what we can do to protect our information. Because even though the doctors are being a target for hackers and things like that, we are all targets.
Oh, yeah, big time.
So, but the biggest issue that I see happening in medical practices is because this is the elephant in the room that nobody wants to address. And
Right.
everybody thinks, well, I'm too small to be investigated. I'm too small for the hackers to attack. I'm this, I'm that. And so this responsibility, which by the way has state and federal responsibilities. So what happens is somebody gets tasked with this, whether it's the office manager, the practice administrator. I work with nurses, I work with MAs. Sometimes I work directly with the doctors and stuff, but it's whoever they can pawn this responsibility off onto. And what happens is they have so many other responsibilities that HIPAA gets put on the back burner.
Right.
You know, it's just like, well, you know, I got to do the billing, or I got to take care of the patients. I got to do this. I got to do that. Well, I'll get to that tomorrow. Well, tomorrow never comes.
Right.
And so, you know, in their defense, there's just too many things that are on the forefront of protecting patient information. But what I try to explain to all of my clients is their personal information is your job. I mean, it's your
Right.
job to protect it. So it's a lot of different things. But a couple of things I'm going to deviate from is a lot of people think I'm too small. I'm whatever. I was going to go down another path, but let me finish this thought process first. 'Cause
Right.
I told you, I'm squirrel. Here, I'm over here.
Yeah, that's me.
But anyway, just to give you some idea, I'm not going to name any names because I don't want these practices to get into
Right.
bad publicity.
Absolutely.
But just for instance, they started more and more going after dental practices, which a lot of people say, oh, well,
Yeah.
but $80,000 fine for refusing to provide a patient records unless a $170 copying fee was paid. $30,000 settlement after taking 5 months to complete getting their records. And then a $25,000 fine, $30,000, $75,000, $50,000, $60,000. These are real fines that have been handed out just for the
Dentist.
dentals. And then, you know, I did the speaking circuit for the Florida Chiropractic Association of Florida. So this was a few years ago, and I spoke at all the different conferences and stuff. Well, the chiropractors were like, I don't need to do that. We're good. We're good. Well, guess what? Arkansas Chiropractic Clinics, 321,000. Illinois chiropractors, ransom and data breaches, and they had demands up to $10,000 a piece. They didn't disclose what the fines were, but I'm sure there were quite a bit.
Yeah.
Another $150,000 fine. Now that was not a chiropractic owned. It was a mixed, you know, probably
Mixed
primary,
practice.
you know, primary care. Another $50,000 for the lack of a security risk analysis. So I mean, these are real fines. Then we come to the largest fines. Now, Anthem was the largest HIPAA compliance fine for $16 million.
Holy cow.
Okay, but I just had to bring this up too because also states can get involved because, you know, HIPAA is a federal law, and so the Office for Civil Rights, who enforces the privacy violations, can enforce fines. But then your states can also piggyback on that. So Anthem was fined $16 million by the federal government. Then
Because they were breached?
yes, because they had a cyber breach, and they should have had a system-wide risk analysis, and evidently the breach went on for a while. So now the total on top of the $16 million, there was a $39.5 million multi-state agreement, and of that, Florida's share was $600,000. So And to say something like that, so it's not just medical providers, because in the state of Florida, we have FIPA, the Florida Information Protection Act. So any business that stores or contains personal identifiable information from their customers are subject to this law. And you can be subject to up to $500,000 because they're fines per day. And so again, this is more than just healthcare. So in the beginning, when I had told you I want to talk about more than just healthcare, this is what I'm talking about. So unfortunately, when a medical practice faces an Office for Civil Rights fine, well, sometimes the states can come in and piggyback on it. And so again, it's horrific. It really is, because now, mind you, I mean, it's horrific what is happening to our medical practices, but I also see both sides, because so many medical practices think they're too small. They don't have to do this. But the fact of the matter is, this is my analogy, like it or not. Okay. In the old days, we had the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
We could see the danger coming down on the horizon. We could come down here and we could prepare. Well, now what happens is,
boom.
Well, WWW stands for the World Wide Web. Well, that's the new Wild Wild West.
Right.
But the difference is they're invisible. You don't see that.
Right.
So what happens is most breaches happen by somebody clicks on a link. Somebody opens an email they shouldn't, or they open up a PDF file that's infected, or they go to a website that has keylogger tracking software, and then they go put their password in somewhere. I mean, I could talk for an hour on just that, but
and doctors and dentists are one part of our daily lives that always require our Social Security number.
If you have insurance. If you don't have insurance,
you don't have to give it.
You don't have to give them the Social Security.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
But I mean, most of us don't know that. Most of us go ahead and give them the Social Security number.
Yeah, because I'm pretty tight with it when I can be, you know.
Oh, here's another one. Here I go. I'm gonna go down the rabbit hole now.
There.
Be careful who you allow you access to your driver's license. You're not gonna believe this. I got a call day before yesterday from a good friend of mine. Now this is down in Palm Beach County.
Yeah.
And she was livid because an Instacart driver wanted to take a picture of her driver's license. They said, scan it. And she goes, you don't need that. She goes, he was delivering, or he or she was delivering a prescription.
Oh, okay.
And it was not a narcotic or anything like that. And she'd had her prescription delivered before. And she says, well, here's my ID, you know, and I can sign for it because that's what they said that they were going to need to do.
Right.
So that was fine. But then she goes, no, I have to have a copy of your driver's license. And she's like, no, I'm not going to give it to you. Forget it. And so then she goes, because I love her. She's my hothead New York Italian. She's like,
yeah.
Ain't going to happen.
That's like me.
Well, I'm not New York or Italian, but I got fire in me.
Oh, yeah.
But so anyway, she goes, get your supervisor on the phone. And then the supervisor threatened her that if she didn't do this, that she would never be able to use Instacart again. So she has since, I advised her to call
corporate.
Well, she did call Instacart, and they says, well, we've made some changes and stuff. She goes, well, you need to advise people of this. And but the other thing that was really funny is the delivery driver. So, well, this is according to HIPAA. Well, obviously,
she didn't know who she was talking to, or he.
No,
yeah.
No, and because again, HIPAA is between your healthcare provider and you.
Yeah.
And I, if it was me, I would have said, okay, I want to see your business associate agreement. If you are according to HIPAA, I want to see your business associate agreement, because if you don't have one, that is a HIPAA violation.
Yeah.
So then I
should have said that.
Well, I wasn't me. I mean, if somebody asks me for my driver's license and tells me,
yeah. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
But anyway,
yeah.
So, I said, first of all, I think I know there is a lot of illegal immigrants driving for delivery services and things like that, and so. And I don't know this part of it, but maybe there's a new crime ring going around getting copies of driver's license and things like this. So I said, you know what I would do? I would call our state attorney general and report it just so they're aware of what's going on. Well, then lo and behold, today something comes across my feed. Florida cops bust gang selling driver's license, including CDL licenses, to 1,000 illegal aliens.
Go figure.
And you wonder where they get from, where they get this information from. Because I think of, I'm all about protect my information, But so if they go to deliver groceries or something to an older person that's not, they're giving their driver's license.
They don't know better.
They don't know.
Oh, my mother's been.
Oh yeah. So anyway, I have different things you can do and where to report something like that. So if anybody, I don't know, on your podcast, if somebody can, ask for information, I can send this, give that to you, and you can put it down in the remarks. I don't know if we can do that or not.
Yeah, we should be able to do that.
Well, that will be something that Alan would take care of, but you can leave it here. If he can do it, he'll do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
Plain and
sounds good.
simple.
Just because I want to be able to educate people. On
Absolutely.
So anyway, again, a few other things that we as individuals can do, as well as people that work in medical offices, businesses, and things like that. I just want to say is, when you get that email from your bank that says, because I've gotten this email that you need to finish completing your loan application.
Oh, that would be
you're like,
scary.
wait a minute, I didn't fill this out. Let me click on this.
Don't click.
Go to the browser, open up your bank, and if you get a text message or an email or anything that says, call this number, click on this, don't do it.
I always look at that. First off, you look at the URL, something's going to be off.
Absolutely.
And, like Bank of America, maybe Bank of America, an extra A, anything just
Absolutely.
that you won't catch.
But see,
So-
you watch. So many people don't.
They know.
And,
Absolutely.
and again, the people that are not familiar with these type of things, they're the ones that fall prey to all of this, these scams and stuff. And again, nobody needs your social security number. Nobody needs a copy of your driver's license unless, you can show it. Because think about this, the other thing that really disturbed me more than anything over this whole situation of wanting to scan the driver's license, that's their personal cell phone.
Yeah.
Where the hell is that information going?
Yeah.
And why is it on your personal? I have a huge issue with that. But the other thing is, if somebody calls you on the phone and says, "Can you hear me?"
Oh, yeah. Never say yes.
Never say yes.
Right.
Why do you
I've heard
ask?
that.
Is this so and so? Why do you ask?
Right.
Just always. Why do you ask? I had that happen to me, and I just kept hammering. Why do you ask? They hung up on me? I'm like,
Yeah.
yes.
I have to tell you this little thing. When Chuck retired, I'd been on Social Security under my name for a couple months. Well, I don't know, 6 months maybe. I had a man call me up and say, yes, this is Social Security. Would you like to start collecting under your husband? And I'm like, yeah. And, we talked and everything. He goes, okay, can you verify your Social Security number? I said, no. I said, I don't know if you're legit. And he's like, I know, I understand. He says, I completely agree with you. He goes, call Social Security. Here's my name and credentials and verify that I work for them. And here is my number. Once you do that, you are more than welcome to call my number. And I was impressed that he understood, because people are getting smart and they are not jumping into the bandwagon and giving the Social Security numbers. So I did. I called, and of course, Social Security's big, but she looked it up and she goes, yes, he is an employee, and what department he was in. And I said, okay. And I called him, and he happened to answer. I said, how did I get so lucky that you answered? He goes, you just caught me between calls. But he was, I'm glad I did, because he got me a nice bump in my Social Security. He was legit. But I didn't know that. I had no way to verify that. And, I say to him, you give me my Social Security number if you know it. And he goes, I can't do that. Which I can understand why he can't, because he'd be giving it to a potential hacker too.
Yeah.
So that was the only way I knew to do it, was to call, and that's what he suggested, and that's what I did. And
That was perfect.
Yeah.
Because when they're not legitimate.
Oh yeah, they're not going to give you any information.
No, you get those text messages that in fact, I just
the
got
post office one. That's
the
a
post
good
office. I just got one today that said that I had what do you call it? Tickets and fines that I have not
yeah.
paid, and they're going to arrest me. I'm like,
Yeah, let him
come
come.
on, no. But anyway, the other thing I wanted to mention. Oh, the other way to one of the areas, the reason why a lot of these hackers and everything else has been going on was last year there was a 2.9 billion record breach, and it was worldwide. And not only did they get our names, social security numbers, addresses, and everything else, they got the answers to
Our private questions.
our private questions. See, I always thought I was sneaky, like, what's your favorite food? And I'd say dirt.
Yeah.
Just something that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But they had the answers to that too. So I was telling people since last year, change your passwords, change your answers to your security questions, because if you don't, if they get a hold of that and they get a hold of your bank or something like that does not have multi-factor authentication,
Right.
and they have to try to prove you are who you say you are, they have all that information. That's the reason why, one of the girls in our, one of the ladies in our women's group, her Facebook got hacked.
Yeah.
And it looked like her, and the story goes, oh, my aunt, my uncle, my cousin, my
Right.
niece, my
Oh, yeah.
nephew is going into a nursing home, and I'm helping them clean out. Here's some things for sale and things
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. Well, that also happened to one of my clients, so
There's so many things.
I can't stress enough about change your passwords on a regular. Do not reuse your passwords on multiple locations.
Okay, I'm guilty.
No, don't. Because think about this: if they get one password,
They got them all.
they're bots. They could go out and find that password on every website. So no. And then this was just I don't know, last month, maybe not even a month ago. There was 184 million passwords leaked on the dark web. So we have to go through this
Massive
stuff again.
change
almost.
all the time. Alan can edit. And
And then other things to do is, again, multi-factor authentication. If you're using your cell phone to get that code,
Yeah,
or that
that's-
email account to get that code, that account needs to have multi-factor authentication, because if they can get into your cell phone or get into your email and they get the code, they can still get into your accounts. So
oh, I thought I was safe with that.
you're safe.
Constantly getting everything now requires a 6-digit number or
Absolutely. But if it's coming to your phone or your email,
more. Right.
and your email only has a username and password, and that has been breached, they can get your codes instead of you.
But those codes typically don't last but a few minutes.
Oh, but they are fast. If they're already into your accounts, they're
Oh.
waiting for that code.
Oh, okay.
See, that's what happened to our friend in Facebook. She had multi-factor authentication, but every time she would get the code on her phone, it would be invalid because they were on it like,
white on rice.
yes, thank you. But anyway,
Why on earth would you want to do all this?
money. The money. I mean, I wish they would do something for good for this, but they're not. And the one other thing I want to say before I forget, because I'm a squirrel, I can go off,
Right.
is do not ever pay anyone with Venmo, Apple Pay, or Zelle that you don't know.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't know them. Because again, what happened with the Facebook scam was, look, it's just a deposit. If you come, when you
Oh,
come
yeah.
to look at it, I'll give you your money back. That's not happening.
That's just like when I was looking for dogs, and I was looking for Trixie's. I had like 3 different websites try to scam me, and this is typically a $3,000 dog. And they'd say, "Oh, it's only $800," and I said, "Why? Why is it only $800?" Well, they could never give me an answer, and then I said, "Well, sorry, you're not getting a single penny up front from me." And they said, "No problem, no problem. We don't need any money up front." And I said, "Well, what's the catch?" And they were like, "Well, there's no catch. There's no catch." I said, "Well, how do I get the dog?" I said, "Where are you located?" "In Georgia." I said, "Oh, so how do I come get the dog?" "Well, we'll deliver it." And I said, "How much?" "Oh, $500 delivery fee, And I'm like, "Seriously?" I said, "Why can't I come get the dog? If you're legit, why can't I come get the dog? And I'll pay you then." And they would disappear. or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The scammers are
Relentless.
relentless, and between Facebook and websites, and the thing that pisses me off are the elderly that get taken over and over. My mother's been taken a couple times, and just it just frustrates me. I'm pretty
There's
careful.
a guy on YouTube, Pierogi. I love this guy. I follow him. He goes after hackers,
Oh, I would love to do that.
and he logs like he disguises his voice like he's a little lady.
Oh, I've played those games where they call me, and I love the one where they need my credit card. And I used to play for. Sometimes if I was bored, I would like drag them around and around, and I'd say, "Oh, I'm typing it in." Well, no, you're not doing it right. And I'm like, "Yes, I am." Doesn't it go in a line on? I mean, I would just play stupid, and they would get so frustrated with me. And I'm like, "What am I doing wrong? You need to do this and this and this." And I'd say, "Well, I think that's what I'm doing."
Oh, that's fine. Well, he kind of does that kind of stuff.
And I have fun doing that. I don't get many of those calls anymore. Of course, I'm not on a landline. It used to be my landline that just got hammered.
Oh, my cell phone, since it's out there, I mean, I get all kinds of baloney calls and stuff like that.
Fortunately, my cell phone has been pretty good.
Uh-oh, is Mark time up? Oh, no. Okay.
Oh, we're good.
But the only other thing, I'm going to go back to healthcare for just a minute, because I told you I
Okay.
digress.
Go for it.
I'm like, squirrel. Here we
And
go.
if there's any healthcare providers listening, please think about Eris, because I know how hard she works on this company, because she hardly ever gets to come to lunch because she's always busy.
Oh, well,
but-
thank you. Oh, one last thing is, if anybody ever calls you and gives you all your information, your name, address, phone number, your credit card number, and then they want the 3-digit code on the back.
Never give it.
No.
Never give it.
But anyway, one other thing is, and I don't want to sound like I'm Miss Doom and Gloom all the time, but this is really serious.
Yeah.
I mean, whether you work in a medical practice, in a business, or just to protect yourself, because these fines and penalties are real, and they're enough to put a small practice out of business.
Yeah.
And so this is just some of the ones that I downloaded off of the Office for Civil Rights website. These are double pages.
Wow.
These are resolution agreements. And along with the fines and penalties comes a resolution agreement, meaning they have to go under a compliance plan for the 3 years. So you're going to be monitored
Like
for
probation for 3 years.
and then they're going to monitor you and everything. So there's nothing worse than having the Office for Civil Rights in your practice for 3 years on top of the fines. But I mean, look at this: 75,000, 800,000, 25,000, 25,000, 600,000, 25,000, 350,000, 227,000, 1.5
yeah.
million. I mean, these are
We're almost done.
massive, and there are business associates in here too. So it's not just medical practices.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Well, I really thank you for coming, and
Thank you.
you've been very informative, and we'll see if we can get some way to upload this information, if nothing else, in our group, but somehow we'll get that information out there. And I would also like to make a quick note. I have since put my cards and some of my shadow boxes in Sea Dream by Sarah. It's a beautiful store in Ormond, so I invite you to go down and look for my stuff there if you're interested. But again, I thank you again so much.
Thank
You're
you.
so smart.
well, no, I love what I do.
Card back up. I wasn't on camera with you.
Okay, here's the card again. Sea Dreams by Sarah, and she's a little gift store down on the beach of Ormond, and I've got, like I said, my cards and things in there, and please go visit and check it out.
I love your cards and your shadow boxes I have. They're beautiful.
Oh, I know, you're such a good customer. All righty. Come back again. See me soon. I hope I'm done.